I'm known for paid employment for, like it's a thing, for paying my staff, which is apparently mad these days. But obviously we're trying to change that. So yeah, we're known for paid employment for people with learning disabilities. And we use the vehicles of Socks to spread awareness of that and Down syndrome that my little brother has. When we started, it was just about me and our kid having our kids, my little brother Ross, very northern, I'm sorry. It was just about me. It was just about getting Ross work. That's how it started. And then he'd gone from 12 months not seeing anyone and his confidence going, and he's quite charismatic, our kid, and losing all that to him being back. And it was like, wow, this has really made a difference for him.
So you phoned the producers at Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
Like, I'm waiting for someone to call me back. They haven't.
Yes, yeah, I did. Yeah, they didn't get back to us. So I phoned and pretended that this guy had phoned me, and why hasn't he phoned me back? And we were in within 3 days. So that Manchester United was a big one, and then obviously Dragon's Den, and now Tesco. And all these, we just got second in Santander X. We've got another big thing going on in the background that I can't divulge, but it's massive. So all these things are telling me that we're going in the right direction. I hate to put people with Down syndrome or any learning disability in boxes, but ultimately, when Ross walks into a room, people glow. People instantly smile. It's uncanny what Ross has the ability to do. He makes people, and not just Ross, but other staff like Mark. Mark's 33. He's been with us 2 years now. When he came, he was so quiet. And now he's so funny. You just can't stop him. He's such a character to have around. You know what I mean?
That's Christian Laing. He runs Standout Socks. Now, Standout Socks is a company famous for doing something apparently crazy, paying their staff. Now, I need to tell you something about this interview. Normally, I edit the entire interview. I cut the pauses out. I smooth over any little stumbles. And Leanne and I usually record some segues so that it flows smoothly in a kind of a story arc. And I did start doing that with Christian. And then I stopped because Christian's telling this story perfectly. The pauses matter. So you're getting the full, unedited, 1 hour conversation Leanne had with Christian. Because this isn't a polished corporate story. This is a real life story of a man who cared about his brother and actually did something about it.
Hello and welcome to Truth, Lies and Work, the award-winning podcast where behavioural science meets workplace culture. Brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. My name is Leanne. I'm a chartered occupational psychologist.
And my name's Al, and I'm a business owner.
And we're here to help you simplify the science of work.
So let's hear Christian's incredible story in full after this very short break.
You said it was started with your little brother, Ross. Can you take me back to the moment when you kind of realised that he deserved better?
Obviously, life's busy. Careers. I used to be an event. I've had many careers, but at the time of COVID, I was a project manager for an events company. Events stopped, and my missus was Natalie, who's one of the other co-founders, as well as me and our Ross, was a PA for a construction company, and construction stopped. So we were both furloughed, and we were bored. We'd just become parents, and we wanted to get out the house a little bit, probably. So we started selling. So there was loads and loads of, because everything had stopped, vintage companies had warehouses full of stuff. So we started buying vintage clothes online and then selling it in individuals. So we'd buy it in bulk and sell it in individuals. Our Ross had moved into with my mum and dad. Because Down syndrome was one below over 95s on the list of who it could hurt the most. Ross had to move in with my mum and dad. We had to take him shopping and dissect everything to put it in the house. And then we got jabbed. We could bubble up, if that's what they called it. And we were like, we'll just bring him in here and he can help us do this. And then he'd gone from 12 months not seeing anyone and his confidence going, and his quite charismatic our kid, and losing all that to him being back. And it was like, wow, this has really made a difference for him. And then it was time to go back to work, and it was like, maybe we could. So we had a look around. We never professed that we're the first people that invented socks or the link between Down syndrome and socks. There was other people doing it. But we were like, why not bring it to the UK? So we just bought, I mean, I don't like when you look back and think that was mad. Me and Natalie was just like, let's get a loan and just roll the dice and see what happens. And that was it. We launched with 3 different styles. And then we struggled for a couple of years, like any new business. We were working 3 jobs to keep it alive. And then Dragon's Den happened. And then since then, we've been able to employ, and, we were now in Tesco, and we're growing each year, which is nice. But now it's getting a bit too serious for me. So I think we're going to try and get a CEO over me so I can just be with the guys, because that's what I love doing. But yeah, in a nutshell, Ross, prior to that, had not really worked. It paid for services to organisations to work in cafes and build bird boxes and etc., where he'd paid to go and do that. And that used to frustrate me. And now we do the opposite.
How was that for you? Because it sounds like you said it started this little side hustle during COVID, during a time where there was so much and also so little going on. To have this idea, and I so get it when you see somebody getting that sense of joy and purpose and meaning from work and the difference that makes. How did that step go from, because there's some big steps there in terms of seeing Ross starting to thrive in a place of work, to then founding a sock business or pivoting to a sock business that is centered around this purpose of employing other people with learning disabilities, to then Dragon's Den. Like, talk to me about that period.
We launched, and obviously when you launch a business like we did, friends and family were ace at the start. They got us through the first 3 months until we made big moves. And then literally LinkedIn sent an email to Richard Arnold, which is the CEO of Manchester United, and he was like, love it, like, we'll do it. And we got special dispensation from Paul Smith to go into the Manchester United megastore. And that was when it was kind of the penny dropped, and it was like, we might have something here. So we did Manchester United within a year. But it was still a struggle. The day-to-day was that we were learning, and we applied the year before for Dragon's Den. We didn't get in. We were too early on. We didn't have enough accounts. And then we sent off and applied for the second year. They didn't get back to us. So I phoned and pretended that this guy had phoned me, and why hasn't he phoned me back? And we were in within 3 days.
So you phoned the producers at Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for someone to call me back. They haven't.
Yes, yeah, I did, yeah. I knew it. We were built for Dragon's Den. It was something that we had to do. So I knew that once that we were probably at the bottom of the pile of something. So yeah, I phoned him then, and then Dragon's Den happened, and then from there we've been able to develop from there. But what started from Ross, not just Ross. I'm gonna just say it's not just for me and Natalie as well. Obviously to see the change in Ross was great, but I get loads out of what I do. This is not work for me. And Natalie's the same. Obviously we put everything into it, but it's a joy. I literally get to mess around with my mates all day in work. And I'm thankful for that. I get shouted at sometimes from Natalie for not taking it too seriously, but other than that, it's ace. And then to see not just Ross, but other staff like Mark. Mark's 33. He's been with us 2 years now. When he came, he was so quiet. And now he's so funny. You just can't stop him. He's is such a character to have around. Do you know what I mean? And as we build, more characters will come on board. We need to get better with telling these stories of our staff, I think. So there's stuff that we need to do as an organisation, but ultimately we're affecting stuff and changing a few opinions. And, you know, sometimes us making a cup of tea is the biggest thing in the world for people to say. They're like, "What, can you make a brew?" I'm like, it's a milky tea, to be fair. It is a milky tea, but yeah, he makes a brew. He's not the best brew maker, I'm not going to lie about that. But yeah, he makes his own dinner. He makes a brew. He makes the staff a drink when they come in. He trained all the staff. And people didn't think that was possible, you know?
Why was it important to you and to Natalie to bring other members of the team on who have learning challenges? Because you could have just said, well, you know, we've created this role for Ross and that's awesome. Why was it important for you to open up that opportunity to more people?
Because we see Standout as a home for people that struggle to find a home, something for them to be proud of. The guys put stickers on all their work that show, you know, that they're so proud of what they do. Mark, not to go back to him, but counts every box he makes. We'll tell you all day how many boxes he's making. He came in last week and made everyone ill because he wouldn't have a day off when he was ill. But, you know, for the first 4 years, we've been making it a lot about myself, Ross, Nat. No, not so much. Me and Ross are like the front of this. But I think it's time for us to, you know, not completely go, but tell everybody else's story. You know, it's, you know, Oliver gets the bus to work on his own. You know, people wouldn't think that's possible. And by telling these stories, we're the next generation of people with Down syndrome or learning disabilities are seeing what's possible and having something to aspire to be. And when Ross was young, there was none of that. So they're seeing George Webster, Ellie, Maddie in America, John in America. You know, all these people in the public eye now with Down syndrome, especially, and parents with young children. Not that, you know, when you see it, you believe it. Do you know what I mean? Before 10, 15 years ago, there was nothing to see. You know, people walk past our stand in Tesco every day, and the representation of people with Down syndrome is there to millions of people as they walk past. You know, it's not just about the socks and selling the socks. They're seeing the faces of people with Down syndrome front and centre. So yeah, there's that. There's that. It's not so scary anymore. You know, I come at this as a sibling. I'm a brother, but I can 99%. My mum and dad would have been scared when Ross was born, and there'll be millions of parents out there that would be scared to go into the unknown. And by doing what we're doing and others doing the same, like, it doesn't become the unknown anymore, you know?
What does the business look like today in terms of the number of team members that you have, and what's the representation amongst the team in terms of people who have Down syndrome or learning difficulties? So
there's myself and Natalie and Ross as the co-founders, and then my auntie Lisa looks after the team. So in the team, with Ross and my auntie Lisa, they look after Joe, Martha, Oliver and Mark, who have Down syndrome. And then this October, we brought on a marketing manager. So the whole team that does the socks, the sock side of stuff is all led by people with learning disabilities. And then the back, Natalie does everything. I do a little bit. I do bits and bobs, and then Michael does the marketing side of things. And then in the new year, we're going to get a business-to-business manager, I think, and then by October, a CEO, and then the back will be built then to then start to inflate So Lisa emigrates to Australia in December. So I'm going to go back with a team and a couple of the guys, I won't name who because I know this is going out prior to them being told. The idea is to make a couple of the guys supervisors. And and to build their teams below them. So yeah, it's exciting because again, we people don't think that's possible. Look, we build the roles around people. So we've got 2 characters here that I know and have full trust in that can do that. And we use scanner systems. So you just need to teach the scanner system, and then no order ever goes out wrong because the guys work independently. They don't, nobody's walking around with them checking what everyone's picking up. It's just they use scanners, and when they get it wrong, they know what they're doing wrong, and if they ever need it out, they just ask up. But the guys work independently.
What is it that other business owners, entrepreneurs, business leaders, employers misunderstand about people with Down syndrome and learning disabilities? What are they not getting?
I just think they need to give it a chance. I think they see so much red tape, they see so many barriers that sometimes it's just easier to go, it's just not worth it. But it is, it really is. If you build the roles around people, you can build whatever role you're in, and it'll only be a positive for your organisation. More than capable, but it's not just the capableness. And I hate to put people with Down syndrome or any learning disability in boxes, but ultimately, when Ross walks into a room, people glow. People instantly smile. It's uncanny what Ross has the ability to do. He makes people, and not just Ross, again, I hate putting people with Down syndrome in boxes, but every time one of our staff member walks into a room, it's just sends happiness everywhere. It's like happiness, ping, ping, ping. And is just to have that as an ability is unreal. Forget about the work side of things. They're just the personality in your organisation to make people happy and more engaged is incredible. And then, again, Down syndrome isn't one thing. People think that if you've got Down syndrome, you're this one thing. It's not. People with Down syndrome have different personalities, are capable of different things. For example, with Mark, just likes building boxes. I could get Mark work for 5 hours in front of him, and he will work non-stop to the best quality for 5 hours, just telling me about his day, but he won't stop working. Getting him to sit down is difficult for his dinner even. Okay? Whereas Martha's a bit more wants the chat, so she'll go do the scanning and the orders because she wants to, be about the chat and stuff and doesn't need that one job, that repetitive job. But Mark's been doing this repetitive job now for 2 years and he loves it. That you can't find that. I do it for 20 minutes. I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore. Mark, 2 years, 5 hours, bang, 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 talking all the way through it. Doesn't bother him. Joe's the same. Joe can just rattle through boxes after box after box after box. So, no sickness, no lateness. The guys want to be here, which is difficult to find in employees these days. It's a happy place. It really is. They bring so much on that side of things. But just get the job done. People even people come up and say, "How did you do it?" And I'm like, "How do you do what?" And they're like, "Well, how do you employ people with learning disabilities? And then how do you pay them?" Just employ them and then I pay them. There's no art to this. You either want to do it or you don't want to do it. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. That's on you. Different companies, organisations do different things. I get it. I'm not putting that pressure on anyone. But we're it's not hard. It's really not hard. The only thing I would say is because of the way we're set up, we couldn't find anyone that was doing it the way we were doing it. So we work with an HR company that has inbuilt a HR processing for people with learning disabilities. And that's because when our staff sign contracts, everyone has contracts here. They're not just, we can't just say, right, bye. Everyone has full rights here. But parents want to know what's going on, usually with people with learning disabilities, but they have the right to say no. If Mark doesn't want his mum to come and sit in study, that's up to him. And parents are told that from the start. Parents are the parents that we have erased. I'm not saying, but we had to inbuilt that, because parents will ring and say, like, what's going on? And I'll be like, you need to speak to Mark. I can't speak. That's the only difference, I'd say. But it's not hard, is it?
I mean, you say it's not hard, Christian, but it's a stretch sometimes just get an employer to treat employees as adults, which sounds like what you're doing with your team, and there's there's an added layer to it as well. I totally get what you mean about you don't want to kind of put people with learning disabilities in a box. Yet there is such a heart and a empathy that I've experienced being around people with learning disabilities. My best friend has a son who has significant challenges, and he is the sweetest, most beautiful young man. We had a Rossi that wasn't a big fan of people, and particularly wasn't a big fan of men. So we were really nervous when he came to visit. And Nathan just kind of walked in, got on his knees, stayed still, and our dog just kind of was drawn to him before it. Like a minute later, he was on his back getting belly rubs, and there was just a connection that it sounds so silly, but our dog just got instantly. He was like, "You're a good person, with a good heart."
There's no ulterior, no motive. Like in some workplaces, people are trying to do this, people are trying to do that. Talking about there's everything comes from such a beautiful place, which could help any atmosphere in any place. If you could bottle it and sell it, you would, wouldn't you? So, like you say with animals, again, I hate putting it in a box, but like, Ross is like the animal whisperer. He's they can sense. Animals can probably sense good in people, I guess. Like there's no malice there. So again, it's so hard not to. You don't want to put people with learning disability in boxes, but I suppose that's the positive box, at least to do it. But again, just the stress. It's not, I can speak for Down syndrome. It's not one thing. They're not always happy. Ross isn't always happy, let me tell you. When I asked him to work a Sunday once because we needed to go and do something in the football museum, didn't want to do it. He wasn't happy about it, and he booted off all day. Right? The people with Down syndrome are not always happy. They're not eternal children. They like a beer. Ross drinks beer. They're not kids either. He doesn't need your oars. He really doesn't. Like, if people are him, I'm like, don't are him. He's got the greatest life ever. But like, it's a change of. Listen, I'm not saying that's bad, but I think what we're trying to do here is empower and say, look, we appreciate that as a society we want to protect people. It's not, again, as a society, I think we're not coming from a bad place. We want to look after and protect, but there's a point where it gets to babying and, don't talk to me. He's a person. And again, I don't think people, when they do it, I like to think they don't come from a bad position. They're just not educated, one. They've never been around it, two, because it's never been represented until the last 10 years, I'd say. So as a society, we're going to go on this roller coaster of change, and that's great.
We connected over the Waitrose story that came out about a young man with autism, was it? Who was then looking to get some paid work after being there for years, and then they ended up basically letting him go. Why? And particularly with organisations that on the surface seem to be ethical organisations, responsible businesses. How is this acceptable when actually it just sounds to me like exploitation?
It's slavery. Let's call it what it is. It's slavery. They do it because they can get away with it. I don't think I think with Waitrose, the surface was scratched. This is not just Waitrose. There's a lot of organisations that portray an inclusive workforce, etc. But people don't realise that the inclusive workforce is being treated differently than the non-inclusive workforce, however you want to put it. It's families, people with learning disabilities have nothing else. There's nowhere for them to do, nowhere for them to go. So they're taken advantage of, and that's the be all and end all of it. There's no government kind of legislation on volunteering. 600 hours is not volunteering. 100 hours might be volunteering, but there's no progress from the volunteering. So there's no right, okay, you've done 100 hours. Let's sit and have a chat about how you've got on. Maybe we could do 50% voluntary, 50% paid now. Right, you've done 250 hours. You're an asset to the company. Let's go from there. But the problem is, because there's nothing else, and they know there's nothing else, if we all gather together and say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, it just stop. And then what are families meant to do then? Do you know what I mean? There's no alternative at the moment. That's just Waitrose. There's organisations that people will pay to go there for the day, build stuff, and then the organisation sells it. Again, for me, that's not right. But that's the way it's been done for 30, 40 years. And until there's an alternative, that will continue. And hopefully Standout would be that alternative. But we're only small. We need to get people to get behind us to build to that. But there's literally nothing out there, Leanne. It's not like there's an option. Families need. What are people meant to do? Just sit at home all day. So I'm not here to discredit or poo-poo or Waitrose. All I'm here is to show there's an alternative, and I think that's the right way. I might be wrong, but I think the way that we do it here is the correct way of treating people, and the way that we should go as people. And there's other ways that you could do it. I'm not saying my way's right. I'm just saying that's the way that we can continue to do it, and that's what we're built on. That's the cause of. But until we get big enough to, offer loads of people, loads of paid roles, then there's no alternative. So if you go for Waitrose to just shut their volunteering system down, and people have got nothing to do, and then they'll be paying other organisations to go there for the day to build or to learn skills as learners, or however you want to call it, paying £60 to £100 a day to go there. And again, it's like, what's after that? Once they've got the skills, and you can't call them trainers for 10 years and take £100 off them a week. And even if they can't turn up that week, take the £100 because they need to keep their place. But that's the way it's done. And we just offer the alternative. If people are fine with that, then that's on them, innit? But this is the thing, Leanne. So as much as we made this look relatively easy, it's not been easy. It's been so hard for 26 months. Me, Ross, Natalie didn't get paid from Standout. We had to work 3 jobs to keep it afloat. Now, at any point in them 26 months, we could have changed to a CIC or a charity, got loads of people to run around Manchester for us, got loads of funding from the government, and then we could have filled it with volunteers. And I could have 78 shifts here with 1,000 people working for free. And And I could sit in this office, put my feet up and take, 70 grand a month with my feet up. That's what we could do. But that seems that I'm giving up on Ross. I'm giving up on the guys. It's like saying that's all you're worth. I could make it easy. We could make this so easy. Do you know what I mean? We could just switch tomorrow and fill it with volunteers, stop paying the staff, get people to run around, to donate, and we could even get the volunteers to pay to come in. I could get all the guys to pay 60 quid a shift to come in to work and call them trainers. So again, I'm not saying that's wrong. I won't do it. But what we're building here just seems to be different and disruptive and able to get the point over a little bit more of this is empowerment as well. This is not just and as all that's happening is money's going from our taxes into government to social services to these organisations back into government. It's just a cycle of dysfunction. And I think people are waking up to it, and it just needs, and sometimes I do worry by speaking like this. This is really open speaking, by the way, that these organisations will close. But at the end of the day, it's just another service-led business that's, someone else will pop up. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's money in it, so people are going to do it. If there was no money in it, people wouldn't do it. So I just think we got to a point where there was some lovely little organisations, and then they started paying people and building monsters. Like senior management and etc. And then they have to pay these wage bills before anybody that needs help gets help. And it's all that for me. There's got to be something different because it's dysfunction at its highest.
You said that we could take this route. We could set up as a charity or a not-for-profit and take all the government funding, charge people to come in. Ross deserves better than that. What's the distinction for Ross to experience an organisation like yours?
Ross has done all that. Ross has paid to go. So Ross has worked in a cafe before. He paid to go and work there based on training or whatever you want to learn as, whatever you want to cuddle it up as. But everyone's going there to see Ross. People are not using that cafe because it does fantastic toast. They're just not. They're going based on the staff. Like, people don't buy from Standout based on the fact that, the socks are amazing. I just want to throw that in. But people don't buy our Standout because of our socks. People buy from Standout because of our staff and our mission. So Ross is filling a cafe and he's paying to go. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. How's this making sense? Mark, work, whatever you want to call it, pays 60 quid to go somewhere on a different day. He pays 60 quid to go. He makes bird boxes or, tidies the gardens up. And people, and then they sell the bird boxes. They don't get any money from that either. And then people donate and buy off them based on their staff. They don't buy from them because it's a fantastically cut edge. So that drives me bonkers.
I'm sorry, Christian, what the fuck? They sell the bird boxes and then still no money goes to the...
No, he pays to go. This doesn't just happen around here. This is what UK wide. Yeah, but listen, I won't mention any names, but I had a conversation with someone recently in regards to this. And I put it to the way I put it to you then. Look, I can switch this I can switch Standout to a charity or CIC, take a load of funding, put my feet up, blah, 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 the way I said it to you. And his response to me was, I'm deeply offended by that. And I'm like, offended by what? And he was like, offended with what you just said. And I'm like, I'm just telling you what we could do. If that offends you, then that's on you, not me. But listen, I get. There's loads of ways of looking at it.
Sorry, just he was offended because he thinks like CICs, charities, is a positive way to go.
No, he ran one.
Right.
So he ran one. So that's why not many people are. We're disruptive. We're disruptive with stuff, and we've been a bit vanilla for many years now, but it's slowly but surely frustrating me more and more. So sometimes it's, especially for me, as much as I'm the director of Standout, a lot of this is personal, my personal opinions. And again, I'm not saying we're doing it right. I'm just saying we're doing it different, and the public will choose one day. And if someone wants to if you want to get someone from one of these organisations on one of these, and we can sit and talk about it, I'm quite happy to do that as well. But they won't. So yeah, but I probably make things a lot black and white and easier than they should be. Like, people say, how do you pay your staff? I'm like, you just pay your staff. People are like, how do you employ people with disabilities? I'm just like, you just employ them. So there's probably more to it than that, but from what I'm standing from the outside, until someone wants to take me through it, that's the way it looks to me.
What blows my mind is that there's ones with a commercial aspect where they're selling things, and also if you're a charity, can you still not pay people for their?
Yeah, people have charities on. I'm not saying that charities don't have people with learning disabilities on payrolls. They should have more.
Yeah.
If you have a look at the picture of our Christmas do and another charity Christmas do, you think they were the charity. You'd think that we were the charity and they were the. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's bonkers. How can you preach about Down syndrome and employment of Down syndrome when you don't do it yourself? It's again, it's not my. We just do what we do. And there's some great charities doing great things out there. I'm not saying that everyone's bad. I'm just saying that people need to have a look at themselves. If people are paying top whack for a CEO, i.e., anything north of 60 grand, which I get, people in charity have bills to pay. They have kids to feed, get all that. But if I'm paid top whack, then I need to perform like I'm top whack, which means that, the people that the organisation is set up for don't pay for the services. You should be able to come up with innovative ways to make them services free if you're paid a high salary as a CEO of a charity. So, I mean, we pay VAT and tax and, all that, a PAYE and whatever, but we can still not just give it the guys for free, but pay them for every hour they work there. And we don't pay them minimum wage. They pay over minimum wage because they are the reason that people buy off us. How could I sit here and justify to myself making Mark pay to come in here, and then every box he does and sells, he doesn't get anything? People don't go to, do you know what I mean? People don't buy whatever. I won't say what it is, but people don't buy it because it's a great product. As much as it is a great product, I'm not poo-pooing the product, but people buy from Standout because of the staff. So, but again, because there's loopholes and stuff, I could turn this into whatever I wanted tomorrow and put my feet up and take it easy. And we're swimming upstream. Ultimately, it just fixes a lot of this dysfunctional wheel of, where taxes are going, and it's just not fixing anything. It's been 60 years and it's getting worse,
Was there a moment where you realise, and your socks are fabulous. Let's just say that for absolute sure. For sure,
Thank
your
you.
socks are fabulous. Is there a moment though when you realised that people cared as much about the mission as they did the product?
So we opened in October, and in the first year we raised money for our local food bank with the Christmas socks. So it's important again. I'm going off on a bit quick tangent, and I'll come back. So every year, so this year we're raising money for Cash for Kids, which is a charity that helps kids wake up to something on Christmas Day that wouldn't necessarily would. And we do a Christmas sock, and we give £1 per sock to the charity. And it's important that just because Ross has Down syndrome and we're based on, people with learning disabilities, that we can't give back, and we can't. Can you imagine like a child on Christmas Day opening a present and then realizing where it's come from, and then holding that in such high regard, and seeing that someone with a learning disability is give back and doesn't just rely on. Do you know what I mean? It's that's why we do it. The first year we opened in October, and the first year we raised £3.5 grand for the food bank. A terrible business decision. We lost a lot of money doing it. But it just felt the right thing to do. Natalie was pulling her hair out. But through that, we went on Granada Reports, which is like a local ITV news station or whatever it is. And we gained a guy called Mr. B. Now, Mr. B is the biggest standout fan you could ever imagine. To the point where he's got 500 pairs of our socks in his drawer. And some of them, he's keeping them as collector's items because he really believes in what we're doing. So he's got he's got a pair of socks that he wears and a pair of socks that he just keeps with a clip on, so that, I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to sell them when they're like 20, 30 years, thinking that they're going to be worth something. I don't know what he's doing. But he came to see us and was like, this is incredible. Like, this is what you're doing here. Like, I've looked into it, and it's like, and this is before we even went down the lines of employing people, into paid roles, etc. But he was like, I love it. I just absolutely love it. I just needed to come and tell you that I love it. So that Manchester United was a big one, and then obviously Dragon's Den, and now Tesco. And all these, we just got second in Santander X. We've got another big thing going on in the background that I can't divulge, but it's massive. So all these things are telling me, that we're going in the right direction. And people are ready to go on this journey with us. And I think for people, because of the way the socks are designed to start conversations, and you show your socks, someone asks a question, and then you get into a debate or a conversation or whatever it is. People feel part of what we're doing. They don't just feel like they're buying. It's like they're cheering on and they're getting involved, and it's our customers that drive this. It's incredible to some of the conversations that people must have out there. Like, I was at Santander X last week, and there was 2 people with our socks on that didn't even know I was going to be there. Stuff like that, and you're just like, wow, that's incredible. And ultimately, as a brand, we've been, whether that's clever or lucky, we've left socks out of everything on the logo and the business name, and ultimately we could go into anything, and the logo just be based on paid employment for people with learning disabilities, and that's for I've got these visions in my head of helping other families and just saying, here's X amount of money. Let's, your Patricia, I don't know, loves to do this. Let's show you how to do it. We'll put the money up front. You don't have to pay us back. we'll have half the business, you'll have half the business, we'll teach you the business, and then pop up little businesses under the Standout brand like that. We've started doing something like that already. We do something called Project Empowerment for the 21 days up to World Down Syndrome Day, which is 21st of March. What we do is we give 21 people 100 pairs of socks for free. And then they sell them to not just raise awareness for Down syndrome, but some of them get really into it, which is ace to see. So they can learn how to run a business, learn how to handle money, learn how to do everything that business brings. And then at the end of that, they keep the money. They can either start their own business. No one did last year, but it's there. A lot of them went on like high ropes courses, and and they just use the money that it's theirs. They've sold the socks; it's theirs to use. So that's something that we'd like to build on as well. And then sport is probably something that we'd really like to get into, in a sense of there was nowhere for Ross to go when he was younger, to play football, etc. So we do a lot with Brentford Penguins, which is a team down south, Down syndrome football team down south. But we could probably pop teams up everywhere and have a little league and stuff like that. We did the Standout Cup a couple of years ago between Burnley and Brentford, which was ace, and that was the spark of the idea. But we need to get a bit more behind us before we go down that route. So yeah, there's loads. There's just loads we can do with this. It's
such exciting stuff. And I'm sitting here going, how can I get involved? How can I start to support this? Because I'm thinking about our Nathan, and he makes bracelets, and I must have about 25 now, because every time I see him, he gives me another one. But he's so patient with them, and he's so creative with it. I'm like, that would make an ace business to like that.
I had the same conversation with I was at a party, and one of my mates brought me over to a couple, and they were saying that their daughter's leaving primary school to go to a special school at the end of the year. And I was like, and then we were talking, and I was like, well, what's she like doing? And she liked doing nails. I was like, just start a nail business now. I was like, because I think, again, it's different for me as a sibling. We've never had really any in 4 years bad negative comments on, people would think that there'd be the odd knobhead out there that's like, that wants to be a tool. We haven't really had any of that in 4 years. Like, we were ready for it before we started. I said to my dad, look, Ross is going to be put out there. You need to be comfortable with that, because he might get some tool that wants to say something, but we're not really saying it's not happened, but you'd think that it would happen more. So just get it out there. Just do it. Like, people are ready for it. Like you're saying, people want to buy from ethical. Imagine the love that goes into that bracelet. Like, I just sat here imagining it. Like, imagine filming that and putting it on. Like people love it. Like, so, but I love. This is what I love. I love that you're walking away from this conversation pumped.
Mm-hmm.
To what could have been a barrier. You're like, what's he good at? He's good at it. Right, fuck it, let's do it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're walking away from this conversation with me thinking what the possibility is, rather than I can't do that. We can't do that. Do you know what I mean? It's safe.
Yeah, and that is credit to you and Ross and Natalie and the incredible business that you're building. And I'm full of support for you. Honestly, anything I can ever do to support you, I am there with bells on, because I think this is really stuff that's going to actually change the world in a meaningful way. And with that in mind, if there's someone listening who's got an idea that is this some kind of ethical business, maybe employing people in a similar way, what advice would you give them to start something that will be meaningful?
I think you've got to do it with a standpoint of of why you're doing it. And like I said previous, you could make this so easy, or you could make a stand. And, if you want to make a stand, then you're in it for the right reasons. And it's going to be difficult at first. But ultimately, you've got to see the the positiveness of what you're growing. Like, I do this because I see what's coming. Like, you know, when it's been dark and we've turned over 30 quid in a month, like, do you know what I mean? Like that's happened. But I was always like, this just feels right. Like it's like paying people feels right. And like I said, it's just like the guys skip out of here. You know, we're not even talking about that side of things. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we get so many emails from people that have just had a baby with Down syndrome, and they're like, I've just come across this. Someone's just put it on my desk, and it's not so scary anymore. This is not, you know, just seeing the future is not so scary anymore. And again, like, people are ready for it. Like, it's not like, it's just, you know, people beat up us as humans, you know, and sometimes focus on some of the negative stuff that we do as a race. But fundamentally, we're all right. We're do you know what I mean? Like, there's some bad apples out there, but fundamentally, if you stripped it back, we're not that bad. And people love the underdog as well. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like, people love to see someone who's told that they can't do something, or someone like, people will cheer you on. Like, everyone's cheering you on. Everyone wants you to do well because people like the underdog. People fundamentally like someone who's going to go, fuck it, you know, I'll show you. And I wouldn't say we're the underdog. We're just doing it. Like, you can make it as hard as you want, but we just do it. Like, it's not that difficult. It can be as difficult as you want it to be. So just try it. But you've got to stick with it. It's not like, look, we were driving around in a smart car for 18 months with 2 seats, with 3 of us. But again, you can... Ultimately, long term, the way that we do this, I feel, will win. Okay, compared to everything else. Now, that it's be difficult at the start, and it was difficult at the start, but change doesn't come when it's like, no change comes out of it being easy. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to change stuff doing it the easy way, because you're just going to do what everybody else does if you do it that way. So nothing changes. But if you go against the grain, people notice, and they might not notice at first, but, you know, slowly but surely they'll work it out. And this, you know, this is bigger than me, Ross, and that now. This is, you know, we're gonna get someone proper in. I just want to be with the guys. I don't want to do all this business stuff, man. I got asked a question last week, and I'm like, I'm just so northern, and, you know, sometimes it's like, look, I believe in what we do. I believe in myself, but sometimes, like, people overcomplicate it, like I'm saying, with big words, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Like, just dumb it down for me, and we can have a proper conversation here. Other than that, I'm just getting on with the day. Just leave me alone. But I need someone that understands all that, because people keep asking me it. So I guess I'll send somebody else to do it who knows the big words. But yeah, you know, BA like, through Tesco, we're now starting to affect our supply line. So we have a factory in Turkey now that pays people learning disabilities, handling all our stuff for Tesco. So we're starting to affect our supply line now, which is ace. But imagine, I mean, again, we think in the UK we're so far forward societal. Imagine what this would do in an Eastern Bloc country, or, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't want to go through countries, but where they're not as far with their views on this, just to see it and be like, I could just imagine, like, a mother who is having thoughts of termination, or, you know, having thoughts of giving the kid up for seeing this and going, shit, it's not that bad. Because the unknown, it's just the unknown. That's all it is. It's just the unknown. So yeah, that's probably a bit deep, but you know what I mean.
I think as well, I mean, we should say that you have lived in Bulgaria for a while as well, haven't you?
How do you know that?
Because I know everything. No, because
Yeah,
I know that because yeah, but go on. What difference would it make if you applied that in somewhere like Bulgaria? And for reference, I live in Bosnia as well, so I'm also kind of part of that world where things are still
right,
a bit
okay.
underdeveloped.
So I used to be a ski rep, and we used to collect people's old stuff at the end of their holiday or stuff they were getting rid of, and then we'd take it to an orphanage. And predominantly this orphanage was just full of people with learning disabilities that people had give up on. And I'm not I get it. I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm certainly not. But just for them to be viewed differently, as, don't want to say useful because that's not the right word, but like not just discarded. Do you know what I mean? Not just like, you're not going to have a life because I've never seen anyone like you have a life. So I don't know anything in the future. So like, do you know what I mean? It's, again, I don't know the terminology. I'm not a wordsmith. I struggled with English at school. But I get, like, when I have these conversations, I'm like, and people trip over the words, I'm like, don't trip over your words with me. Just say it. You're not going to offend me. Yeah. If I ever think that you're going to, so when you're speaking, you're not speaking in malice. Again, I probably just got a nice view of people. So when you speak, I see people tripping over the words. I'm like, just say it. Doesn't matter. Like, I'd rather you speak about it than not speak about it because you're scared of what you're going to say. Like, you're not going to offend me or my brother or any of the staff. If you do say something that I think is borderline, then I might send you an email after it and just say, look, maybe use this terminology if you take it or not. I didn't invent the words. So it's not for me to tell people what words to use, but we just need to talk a bit more about stuff like this without feeling that we're going to offend a load of people with a few words, because none of us invented words. Like, none of us. Like, some people just not educated on what they're going to say to offend. Like, people are not doing it on purpose. And you can see people stumbling in a conversation with someone, and our kids there and something like that, and they're fumbling around words. You're like, don't worry, it's fine. Relax.
I like
Because I do it. I fumble around words. I get the words wrong sometimes. It's fine.
In terms of, I just want to give a big up to where everyone can get your socks, because this is going out at the perfect time of year, just as we're on the Christmas run up. Everyone's looking for those stocking fillers. Every member of my family is getting one. Where can people go to get your socks?
So either Tesco, in Tesco, in 210 Tesco stores up and down the UK and Ireland. But if you want something a bit more gifty, we do gift boxes on the website, www.standoutsocks.co.uk. Everything that comes from the website comes in boxes. People love boxes. It's a strange thing. People love boxes because it's a bit more gifty, I think. So yeah, we do Christmas boxes. We do the Christmas socks with Cash for Kids. But yeah, have a look there.
And as well for parents listening who are really interested in either I know, I'm sure you get loads of interest for jobs in your place, either there or getting involved in the entrepreneurial aspects that you've mentioned and the drive that you do in March. What's the best way for them to get in touch, find out more?
So what I'd say the first part, so it's add us on social media. Obviously we're quite localized at the moment. In the northwest, like when we did our last one, we're in Warrington, and we're getting people from like Stoke and Leeds apply for jobs because again, there's nothing out there. So I'd add us on social media to see what's coming up. I'd go to Scope, Maincat, DSA, people like that who have work fit programs because that's what they're set up to do. In the meantime, the entrepreneurial aspects. happy to help. I've got no money to put in at the moment, but happy to. I can't say get back to you immediately, but listen, you can talk to me all day about it, or you can just do it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can worry yourself sick over little stuff, or just go and do it. And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. With the invention of the internet, there's loads of different things you can do now to monetize your passion. So you don't actually have to even sell a product anymore. You just need to become the expert in what you love doing, or what your daughter or son likes doing, or brother, or etc. And people will always back the underdog. So as long as you show it in a, natural way, like as long as people can get you or little Johnny or whatever, it'll fly. I'm telling you, it'll fly, because people like that human connection. And if you can get a human connection with our kid, you buy off him all day. Do you know what I mean? I must sell you all day. He's never bought a pint. He's not bought a pint in 20 years. That's what he does. He's the greatest salesman that ever was. So yeah, just do it. Like, it's not hard. It's if you want access to our HR company, I'm happy to, send you through to them. They're called Ultimate HR, but when you start a business, you're not going to get there for another 3 years anyway. But just stop looking for reasons not to do it.
So that was Christian Laing from Standout Socks. And honestly, I don't think we need to add anything to what you just heard.
Christian is not asking for your sympathy, your R's, as he puts it. He's not asking for your praise. He's just showing us what's possible when we stop looking for reasons not to do something.
So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about Christmas presents, stocking fillers, Secret Santa gifts, go to standoutsocks.co.uk. Buy some socks. They are great socks.
They are great socks.
But more importantly, you'll be directly supporting paid employment for people with learning disabilities.
And if you are listening to this and you're in charge of hiring, in charge of culture, in charge of making decisions about who gets opportunities in your organisation, I want you to sit and think about what Christian said, about the mirrors being held up, about people being discarded, about his brother Ross, who we shouldn't feel sorry for. The man's never bought a pint in 20 years because he's the greatest salesman there ever was.
Now, you don't have to start a sock company, but you can ask yourself, who am I not considering? Who might I be overlooking? And what assumptions am I making about capability?
And Christian's proved that it can be done, and it can be profitable, and it can change lives, not just for the people you employ, but for entire families, entire communities, entire supply chains.
So yeah, go buy some socks, but more than that, go and think about what you could do differently in your organisation.
This is Truth, Lies and Work. We will see you next week.